and I was kind of iffy on it, right? Next morning, 8 o'clock, the phone rings. The woman on the phone says, "Mr. Mamet, will you hold for the president?" I said, "Wait a second, Biden is calling? It's Trump. It's during the Biden administration." And he says, "David, it's Donald Trump." I say, Mr. President, thank you for calling. To what do I owe the honor?"
In this video, Bill Maher welcomes author David Mamet onto his show, the Club Random Podcast. Bill Maher's TDS rages into the red as the two of them discuss the 2020 election and whether or not it was stolen. With that, let's watch Bill Maher get owned by his guest live on his own show.
I was telling a story at a dinner party, and
But we're not all telling stories.
say what?
We're not just always telling a story.
That's about the length of one story. If you look at it, you'll see it. And the way that I first came to notice it was people quiet down at the theater. They come to the theater at 8 o'clock, and at 6 or 7 minutes after 8, there's a hush.
Because they're waiting for the play to start, no?
But why at 6 or 7 minutes after the hour?
Because, I don't know, but my guess is because they think, oh, well, we've been here for a few minutes. The play's supposed to start at 8. I bet you it's going to start right around now, because...
It's exactly my point. Why at that point? Why not after 2 minutes or after 20 minutes? Because that's built into the human consciousness, that at a certain time we start to look around to reassess our situation.
Wow.
Because we're basically animals. And I don't mean just the Democrats.
Yeah, I mean, man, each book you get more right-wing, I have to say. You get, like, the last one, I remember you were on my show, and there was like one line in it that was, and I said to you on the air, like, are you implying that Trump, that election was stolen by Biden? And you're, no, I didn't. You were kind of like hedging it, and now you're like,
Well, you know what happened to me the next morning. You don't know what happened to me the next morning. I was on your show, and you said, "Are you implying that that the election was stolen?" And I was kind of iffy on it, right? Next morning, 8 o'clock, the phone rings. The woman on the phone says, "Mr. Mamet, will you hold for the president?" I said, "Wait a second, Biden is calling? It's Trump. It's during the Biden administration." And he says, "David, it's Donald Trump." I say, Mr. President, thank you for calling. To what do I owe the honor?"
If you like watching videos like this one, like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Let's get back to the video.
He said, "I saw you on Bill Maher yesterday. You were great." He said, "But you wussed out on the question of the stolen election." And then he talked to me for like 20 minutes about how the election was stolen.
But it wasn't.
Well, I think it was.
But they've adjudicated this. They've looked at this. Republicans have looked at this. It was tested in court like 60 times. It was thrown out every time. Trump's own commission, appointed by his own commissioners to look at the election, the Cybersecurity Commission, it's called, or agency. There's two of them. One of them is within the Department of Homeland Security. They all said the same thing. It was the most fair, honest election we've ever had.
I'm not talking about the votes. I'm not talking about counting the votes. That the Hunter Biden laptop was suppressed, the COVID information was suppressed. Zuckerberg said himself that the White House pressured him not to bring forward the information on the laptop. Rasmussen said, had that come out, there would have been a 17-point spread.
Oh, please. That's so ridiculous. Those things are true. And they did suppress the Hunter Biden. The press did do that. I've said this many times myself, and COVID. Nobody was more out there about fuck you on, we weren't allowed to hear about what we wanted to hear about COVID than I was. But would it have swung the election? Every election, some things are suppressed. It's not a very fair game, politics, but we do play within a certain type of rules. One of them is no ringers from the outside. You know,
wait, we play within a certain amount of rules?
Yes, we always did before. Like, we're not going to have other countries involved in our elections. That was, we'll do whatever we want to each other, but we're not going to do that. And Trump,
who did it?
Wow, there's so much there, isn't there? I'm going to hold off on this, whatever he's about to bring up here about other countries, bringing in other countries into our election. I'm curious what he accuses Trump of here. Bill's not falling back on Russia collusion, is he? Goodness gracious. I think David Mamet is going about arguing with one of the most Trump deranged people about the topic that Bill Maher talks about the most, that makes him dislike Trump so much that he won't concede the 2020 election. I think David Mamet's going about debating it with him the right way. First, I really like David Mamet's confidence and his tone he's using, you know. He's real even keeled, doesn't get excited, worked up like a lot of political commentators, debaters, whatever. But he's like, I'm not even talking about the votes, which we all know the 81 million votes. To me, that's probably the biggest what the hell. But when you argue, when you talk about that laptop story and how it was suppressed, Rasmussen did a poll post-election with Biden voters and said, had you known about this laptop stuff and that it was true and not false, like every media outlet that was taking it down, saying it was Russian disinformation, the social media companies colluding with the administration to take it down, all the misinformation we received about COVID. So still at this point, we're just taking out votes and talking about all the information that was suppressed and intentionally hidden from the public. The Rasmussen poll I was referring to, that David Mamet's talking about as well, polled Biden voters post 2020 election and said, had you known this information, would it have changed your vote to either a no vote or vote for Donald Trump? And he just said like 17-point swing. I'll take his word for it. The bottom line is Rasmussen said that would have by far given Trump enough votes to win the election. So to me, that is actually the best argument about the 2020 election, even though that 81 million votes is sitting there staring you in the face and you want to use it so bad. That and everything else is subjective and it's hard. I'm not saying they're not all accurate, but all the other, stories we've heard about vote manipulation and ballot harvesting and blah, 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 they're kind of isolated incidents. And I don't think if you put them all together, you can definitively and legally say, yes, it was stolen. I'm saying from a legal standpoint. However, it's just a fact that all that information was suppressed from the public for a reason, and it served its intended purpose. And we now know there were bigger forces intending to suppress that information. To me, that's the smoking gun right there. Anyway, you guys get my point. I want to hear what else David Mamet has to say.
Well, Trump publicly said, Russia, if you're listening, could you get into Hillary's emails? That kind of stuff.
Dude, he was joking about.
Oh, boy, you swallowed the
So
whole...
wait a second. Are you saying that he would not? Okay, you want to adjudicate the last 8 years. Were you saying he was a Russian spy?
I did not say that.
Do you say he?
I said it's a ringer. Dave, when I used to play in the Broadway show league, and maybe you have, you've had many big successful shows on Broadway. Maybe they had you on the team. Did you ever play in the Broadway show league?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I have no eye-hand coordination.
Well, okay. Well, okay, so... it was, you'd play Annie or, Men of La Mancha.
What Bill just did there by saying that Trump involved Russia because he made a joke, he blows it off when David Mamet's like it was a joke, because it clearly was. We all know that. And it ties in actually with my ramblings a second ago when I talked about the exit polls about the Hunter Biden laptop story. When that point was brought up by David Mamet, and everyone's aware of what Rasmussen reported on that. All Bill Maher did was go, okay. So he laughs off legitimate information, and then he makes a ridiculous accusation. This guy's supposed to be a comedian off a joke Donald Trump made. Give me a break. But we want to hear from you. What do you guys think about this interaction between Bill Maher and David Mamet? Let us know in the comments. Anyway, as always, really appreciate you watching, and we will see you in the next one.